Everybody thinks that having kids slows you down, and honestly, that is far from the truth if I'm being honest. And if anything, having more kids really made me more focused, gave me more discipline, gave me more of a purpose. And it made me be more intentional with my time, right? Because now that I have kids, I can't just like, oh, well, I'm gonna make 1,000 this week, maybe, and I'm gonna make 4 grand this week, maybe, and then I'll be fine. Like, no, that's not how this works, right? Because if you feel like you don't have time now, just imagine when you have kids. And that's one of the things that really like frustrates me with these newer barbers and just people that want to get on on the online space. They think that that if you don't have kids, they don't have time. Honestly, just wait until you have kids. The whole cliche thing. It's like your time literally goes away. You literally have no fucking time, like at all. So if you're listening to this and you have no kids, what are you doing? Like, why are you procrastinating? Why are you not doing what you're supposed to be doing? And deep down, everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing, but they don't want to do it because of XYZ. So, welcome back to the Live for More podcast. Today, we're going to be breaking down the whole myth and debunking the myth if having kids really slows you down while running a business. And I'm going to use myself as an example, and we're going to be talking about mindset and pretty much finances and stuff like that, my own frameworks, and really how my life changed and my business changed after having kids, and really give you a perspective of really understanding that kids aren't the problem. Kids aren't the problem. If anything, kids amplify what already is your problem. Like if you have financial issues, guess what? That's front and center. If you have daddy issues, mommy issues, well, guess what? Those are front and center. Um, if anything, I feel like having kids makes you a better person because it forces you to look inward instead of looking for external validation. Um, so let's get into it. Okay, so it's not that you work less; you just work more intentionally, right? Um, because now that I have kids, I think twice of you know spending money, or I think twice of like, is this worth the stress? Is this worth like worrying if I'm gonna make this next week? Because obviously, we're trying to reach the end goal, which is, whatever it is that you have written down in your notes. Hopefully you write your goals down because that's a huge thing. If you don't, well, you're gonna have a hard time reaching them. So, um, and how I'm gonna connect this is I'm gonna share my story and my experiences of becoming a dad for the very first time. So I remember, so let's rewind 3.5 years ago when I found out my fiance was pregnant with my firstborn, Mila. I remember she called me to the restroom and she was in shock and tears and holding the pregnancy test. And I'm just in there like, let me see it. Let me see it. And she showed it to me and behold, behold, there was this plus sign on there. I was like, whoa, what the? Uh, I didn't know what to say. I was speechless. I felt a rush of emotions. I felt, gosh, man, if I'm thinking back, like I felt excitement. I felt love. I felt scared. I felt worry. I felt like, damn, how am I going to do this? You know, just because having kids is not like buying your first car, right? Or financing your first house. Like, no, this is a forever thing, right? Like, this is like a human person. So I remember just telling my fiance, like, look, we're going to figure this out. And I remember the first person I called was my dad. I called him and he's like, well, son, like, and for some strange reason, he told me that my dreams are done. I was like, huh? Like, if anything, you saying that makes me wanna prove you wrong, if anything. Like, my dad literally told me, like, "Well, mijo, tus sueños ya se acabaron por trabajar." Like, I'm like, Sure, dad." Like, obviously, I'm not gonna, like, disrespect my dad, and I'm not gonna, tell him to F off or anything. If anything, he was excited too, 'cause, Not only is he a father of just pure boys, so for him to have his first girl, like the man's head over heels, you know. So, um, but him saying that really just put more fuel inside of me and made me realize, like, all right, bet you really think that I'm not gonna chase what I'm trying to build. All right, watch this. And I think, and my thing too is like, whenever I'm gonna say whenever I want to do something with like goals or follow a plan, like I don't like talking about it. Right. I'm the type of I'm a type of person of like, do it first and then talk about it later. All right. Like, execute first, talk about it later. You know, that's the reason why I wasn't like, all right, dad, watch this, or you're wrong. You know, I'm like, no, all right, bet. You know, you're right. I'm gonna get to work. Watch this in my head. So fast forward 9 months. Fast forward 9 months. I remember holding my daughter for the first time, and I remember thinking to myself, wow, this is what you look like. Like, I've been waiting all my life to actually meet you, one, and all my life I've thought about what you were gonna look like. That's literally the number one thing that everyone comes across is, what are you going to look like, you know? And I remember just thinking to myself, like, it is no longer me. It is my responsibility to give you a life that I didn't have growing up. Give you everything that I didn't have growing up. Give you a better life than I ever had, because it's my duty as a father to provide these things for you and not to ask anything in return. You know, there's just like a notion, and especially with my parents, it was always like, I do this for you, and you better be grateful, and um don't forget that I helped you. You know, it's like, well, first of all, you're a parent, you're supposed to do these things. So being around that and growing up around that dynamic, I thought about, those are the first things that I thought about. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna tell my kid to pay me back $20,000, $20,000 of money that they, money that was already rightfully theirs, if anything, you know. Um, but I remember the first night we brought her home, and it is true what they say. So believe them. If you're listening to this, you have no kids, believe them when they say it. You will get no sleep. You will get literally no sleep. And it was brutal because, and I could just imagine for my fiance, because she's obviously the one that birthed the child. But we were trying to figure out everything, you know, with for feeding times and bottles, if she wanted a bottle or she wanted to breastfeed, and it was actually really hard to get her to latch. Um, that was really hard to see, and honestly, probably one of the beautiful things to see my fiance go through is breastfeeding. You know, um, that was really hard to, like. There's nothing I can really do when the baby's not when not latches. So if anybody's listening to this, um, just know that you're not alone. Just watching your fiance go through these things and not knowing what to do is, it's real. It's real shit. Like, it's real shit. You know, um, and um yeah, the no sleep was real. I remember for the first 2 weeks, I was just like down bad, like it was bad, and it gets better. It gets a lot better actually once, you know, they start sleeping on their own. But that doesn't happen for a while. For a while. And it is true what they say, and I mean this with like no like disrespect to, like, you know, the women out there, but the men do, you do sleep a little bit more than the women do, because women will, they have to get up every so often to pump. And since, again, seeing my fiance go through those things, that was a very beautiful experience to witness, and to know that she's able and capable of doing these things is so beautiful, you know. um and again, you know, seeing all that and realizing, like, this is not about me anymore. This is about really executing on what I want to do. Like, if I'm gonna do it, I need to do it now. Like, there's no if, ands, or buts. Like, I have to do this now, you know? One of the key things and one of the things that I live by now and my mentor really instilled this in me was, success loves speed. The quicker you can do something, the better, because not only are you able to get data back, you're able to learn from the data, and you're also able to, make adjustments along the way, okay? So, um, I really wanna get into the identity shift. So having kids didn't give me more time, it made me respect the time that I had, right? So there was no more wasting time. There was no more me, "Oh, all right, guys, I'm gonna hop on the video game for a little bit." Sure, I did play. I did allocate some time for that, but it wasn't a lot. It went from I used to play shit. I used to play a lot of video games at night, and it went from shoot maybe every night to maybe just once a week, if that, because you have to be present. I wanted to be present, right? I wanted to, lend them a hand because I grew up in a household where my dad wasn't really around, not because he was a deadbeat, but because the man had 3 jobs, so he wasn't really around, so my mom had to pretty much raise us, you know? Um, so, I really had to really tell myself, "No more doing it later. If I can do it now, I am doing it now." And that really instilled in me, "Do it now, do it now, do it now." Like, that really changed my perspective on everything. Like, that's why you see but whatever you see online is things that I've tweaked, the things that I've learned from. Like, I've been doing content, I've been doing marketing for 6 years. I've been cutting hair for almost professionally 10 years. So the I've learned a thing or two to be more efficiently, because my thing is, like, I don't want to be fast, and I don't want to do things half-assed, right? And having kids made me realize you can't do anything half-assed. You can't be present half-assed. You can't do none of those things, because you will miss those moments with your kids, right? Not only did that change, but my standards changed. Um, like, my income changed when my identity shifted, right? And what I mean by that is I really started thinking about my spending habits and what I'm gonna be doing with my money. Because obviously the goal is to buy property, to invest into homes, to give my family a home. Because growing up, I didn't have a home. I guess I did have a home, but it was always like growing up, and then moving to my grandma's, getting a house, moving to my grandma's, to work out and back to my grandma's. Um, especially when my parents split up. That was a really hard time for me because not only was I back and forth with my family, and I had to deal with all that stuff, but that's another story for later. But I really want to provide these things for my family because I didn't have this growing up. So I'm very passionate about providing. Like, as a man, that is one of my biggest roles, is providing. I have to do this, right? Okay, so another thing that had to shift was my courage, was believing that I could do the damn thing before I even do it. Because I didn't just build a business, I built it by doing things that barbers are scared to do, or not even scared but lazy to do, right? Because they're either scared of being judged by their peers, or losing clients, or friends talking behind their back, like, who does he think he is? Oh, he is just a barber, right? At the end of the day, people are gonna talk behind your back no matter what you do, so you might as well fucking execute, and you better fucking win while doing it, right? And that is just how I think now, You don't lack skill, all you do is lack the actual will, and the will to move forward, or the actual courage to do these things. At the end of the day, your real clients are gonna respect you, all right? Your real friends are gonna support you, and if they leave, let them. It is 100% okay. You'll be fine. Um, because if they were never meant to stay, then why are you still trying to keep people in your life that aren't meant to be there anyways, right? So, and not only did that have to shift, but I also had to shift my attention. You know, um, I built a 6-figure business in a private suite, a fucking hole in the wall, with no walk-ins, no Google, just pure marketing and content and skill. Learning and hammering away every single time when something didn't work. All right, back to the drawing board. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Like, these are things that I had to do to build the 6-figure business by myself, obviously with the help of God. God first. At the end of the day, I'm a very believer, a high believer in God. So every single time something didn't work, it was me asking God, okay, where do I go with this? All right, cool. He would point me in the right direction, and it was either new mentors or new peers that had the answer for me, and it was people that n- it was people that had what I was going for, right? So my system really is really simple, right? You get the attention, you build the trust, trust brings clients, and clients bring income, right? Your content is visibility. Your visibility is your familiarity, and your familiarity it equals trust, and trust equals bookings, and bookings equals income and price raises and all the cool stuff. I was able to scale from $25 to $100 in Los Baños, California. If you don't know how big Los Baños is, look it up. It is fucking small. It is literally the drive through town in the Central Valley for people that work in the Bay or work in Fresno, or just look it up. It's fucking small, right? In 2026, social media is not optional. It is your storefront. It is how people actually look you up and actually trust you before they even buy. A matter of fact, here's a cool story. I had a client that drove 2 hours. He's been watching my content for 2 months, and the fact that he felt like he knew me he literally told me, he goes, bro, I literally had anxiety booking this appointment, but seeing your videos up into our appointment, it took away the anxiety because I felt like I already knew you. I already felt like I've seen you plenty of times, where it took away that pressure. And honestly, that meeting new people that way takes off the pressure off the me too, because not only are they more relaxed, but I'm able to navigate that conversation a lot better, and I'm able to help solve problems a lot better. All right. So now that I shifted that, I also had to go into the money shift. And when I heard this, at first I was like, bro, I'm trying to get that bag. I'm trying to get money. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, that's stupid. Like, I'm not gonna I don't want to listen to that. That's not what I want to do. Um hmm, I'm sure you guys heard this all before, and it's true. Not all money is good money. Bad money equals stress plus low value. Good money is aligned and high ticket. If it takes away time from my family, if it takes away time from what I'm trying to build, and it doesn't pay right, it's bad money. Like, you're gonna get to a point where your peace and your time becomes more valuable, especially life after kids, business after kids. Like, that really has to change, because you're not gonna be able to do a haircut at fucking 10 o'clock at night for your basic $40, right? Like, now if someone wants a haircut at 10 o'clock at night, while I'm trying to get ready for bed, or my kids ready for bed, well, guess what? They're gonna have to pay me at least $500. And believe this or not, I've done it, and people have paid it once or twice because they needed that haircut that bad. So before people in the comments are like, "Oh, no one would pay that much for a haircut." Okay, look, if you are suffering from a pain, the pain point being you need that haircut because you have a wedding tomorrow, and no one else can get you in, and you forgot to book appointment, guess what? You're going to pay that price because it's that much painful. You need to get in because you don't want to look scruff. You don't want to look like shit at the fucking wedding. So you're gonna pay that. People value what they pay for. I don't care what anybody says. People are out there spending their fucking money on Gucci shirts, fucking $300 a shirt. I'm not gonna pay that. I don't value that. So that's my thing. Um, if it takes away time from my family and it doesn't pay right, it's bad money. So whether it be financing a fucking car that's taking all my weekly earnings, gear that I don't need, when all you really need is a phone to start social media. You don't need a camera to start social media. All you need is your camera that's in your pocket, which is your phone. And flexing dumb stuff for people that you don't even like. Trust me, the older you get, you start realizing, like, fuck, I don't I don't care to show how much I make, or not even like not to show how much I make, but flexing, because I show how much I make per cut to show you what's possible. The difference between showing and flexing is like, haha, look at this. I have all this money and you don't. That's flexing. I don't flex. I don't like doing that. For me, it's like, as quickly as you got it, you're gonna lose it as quickly as you got it. That's just my thing. So why am I gonna flex that? All right. My piece is worth more than actually looking rich. I actually want to be rich. I don't want to look rich. Right. So My urgency for things changed too. Like, I'm not even kidding. My urgency for literally almost everything changed. Like, there's a quote I live by, and I got this from a book called Tuesdays with Morrie. It's such a great book. If you haven't got it, really read that book, and you'll see why. But coffee gets cold. That is a quote. The longer you wait, the less likely you are to ever do it. Your life and your business after kids works the exact same way. Even before kids, it works the exact same way. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, the longer you wait, the longer it is that you're most likely not gonna do something. And then I bet your bottom dollar, if you're listening to this, thinking like, "Fuck, I have to do this and this and this." If it's already been more than 48 hours, you're probably not gonna do it. So get things done as quickly as possible because success loves speed. Okay. So to bring things full circle, right? My kids are my anchor, and my why is helping barbers get paid more. All right. And if you guys don't know this, my mentor said this beautifully. He says, your anchor and your why are two different things. Your anchor is who you do it for, which is my kids and my family. And my why is what you're building for. Who are you building this for? I'm building this for barbers to help them get paid more. Right. I realize that whatever I'm building is not for me, it is for somebody else. Okay. Like, I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to not have any clients. I know what it's like to wait in the shop and being overlooked. Like, no, I'm not gonna wait for you. I'm gonna wait for this because I don't want you to mess up. I know what that feels like. That's why I do this. But the thing is, you have to want to be helped. If you don't want to be helped, if you can't be coached, then sorry. I knew coming up in this game that I knew I had to drop the ego. I had to drop the I know it all. All right, I know this. You can't take this from me. So once you're out of that ego phase, things start changing for you. Okay. So keep that in mind. And I really want to call this out before we leave here. And I mean this with the pit of my gut. If you do not have kids and you're still wasting time, what is your excuse? Seriously, what is your excuse? You are able to get up and go to the gym whenever you want, plan your day for success however you want. My schedule revolves around my kids, and at the end of the day, if I have to leave early because one of my kids needs to go to XYZ, guess what? I'm gonna have to leave. So if you don't have kids, why are you still wasting time? Right? And it's just that simple. Because to close this, kids do not slow you down. They just expose who you really are. Right? If you have horrible money habits, they're front and center. If you have daddy mommy issues, front and center. If you have a horrible way of being with other people, front and center. Now someone that matters is watching you, and they're probably going to be the exact same way you are. So if you want to be a better person or be more decent than you already are, you're going to have to change that. Especially with business. Business that does not lie to you. Business is cutthroat. It has no emotion, and it will leave you in the dust. Just being serious here. Um, so that concludes today's podcast. If you guys watched to the very end, I really do appreciate it. To all my new dads out there, congratulations. Just know that you're not alone. If you guys need support in that, just comment down below on how's it going. Let's build a community with those dads. Let's talk. Let's actually communicate. And because at the end of the day, like for us dads, who do we have to go to, or who do we go to when we have a problem, right? Because at the end of the day, we're the providers. We have to be headstrong and stuff like that. So it is okay to ask for help, you know? So keep that in mind, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.